Talk. Talking Rick. Ricking Morty, I mean. The Adult Swim streamed thing, so check it out on the old streaming Adult Swim program. Bet you're wondering how I managed to get my phone to float around. Well, that's a little trick I'll have to teach you another time.
How y'all guys doing, man? How was the episode? Y'all enjoyed it? This was fucking fun. Welcome to Rick and Morty. This shit's gonna be so fucking fun. So we're gonna have a good show. I'm gonna talk to some really cool guests. You guys are gonna be here. They're gonna be here. We're gonna fucking have a blast. I wanna bring them up right now. First of all, pleasure to bring this man up. We got Dan Harmon in the building. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, you gotta get swifty.
We got
you gotta get swifty.
Got Accent in the building.
It's time to get swifty. You gotta get
Jane
swifty.
Becker in the building, the writer of this episode.
Yeah.
Give it up.
Take off your pants and your panties. Shit on the
This
floor.
is Rick and Morty. Let's
time
have a
to
good
get
time,
swifty
guys.
in here. I'm Mr. Bulldog.
How y'all doing? How'd everyone feel about the episode? Y'all felt good? Well,
Great,
of course
great,
y'all
yeah.
felt good. You.
Yeah.
How'd you feel, Scott?
I enjoyed it as I always do.
Oh, yeah, you're a fan.
I love the show. You kidding?
Okay. 'Cause I was wondering why you were here, because you didn't write anything. You didn't voice anything. So I was like, what the fuck is Scott doing here?
Yeah.
All right, you just here to hang out.
Well, I was doing a podcast at Starburns the other day, and one of the producers of this show came up and said, hey, we need a celebrity for the first episode of the After talk show, but will you do it?
Thought they were
And
gonna
you were
ask to brainstorm
available
with you.
on a Sunday morning. That's dope. I'm a big fan, man. I've seen you on 30 Rock.
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious. Sad, but hilarious.
Sad?
Sad. Like, the character's kind of sad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm
very
a very
fucking
happy
fun.
man, though.
I think you are. You strike me as it. I wonder, like, because this episode was about divorce, like, who up here is a product of divorce?
I am not.
Oh, and you wrote it. You did a very good job
Oh,
of
yeah.
depicting what that must feel
It
like.
was all me, so yeah.
Yeah, my parents separated for a year and a half, and it was like that was the homage that was being paid in the last two seasons of Rick and Morty was like everybody's parents who are always on the verge of divorce.
Yeah.
So this is the season where we decided to have them just go there.
Right.
Are you living out a fantasy?
Well, no, but a lot of the I was really proud of the fact that a reporter that was interviewing us that had seen this episode. Immediately responded to the image of Jerry in the windbreaker with the newsie cap.
Yeah.
Because like when your parents separate, like shit changes that you don't predict would have anything to do with your parents being together, and that's part of the trauma of divorce. Is
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't know the kinds of spoons my dad had would be affected. Why is he dressing differently? And we don't know why. It's just everything changes.
Right. It's weird because, like as a black person, like, I've never really, like, I grew up in a neighborhood where people didn't get divorced, like, their dads just left. Like, people didn't go through the process. And then, like, if I went to a white school and they're like, people would go through the process. They're like,
Well,
"My
that's
parents getting
why we're
divorced."
announcing that all proceeds from this episode are going to the inner city. No, I don't know where that joke was going to go. I was like halfway through, and I'm like, where you're going to land this joke, and it's going to be so funny that it's not true.
But for real, I did. I went to white schools, but I lived, like, in the hood, and it was like, they would, like, go through the process. Like, their parents would sit them down, say this is what was going on, this is going to be a thing, and they would, like, sometimes have to go to court. And it was like, when I grew up, it was like, yo, my dad just don't come here no more. And it was like, all right, I guess it's over. And he would just keep living. It's a very easier way to deal with it. White people, stop doing all that other shit.
Stop staying together for the kids. Yeah.
Dan, how did your parents come back together?
My dad, I just remember him wearing a lot of like tight shirts that made me uncomfortable, and like I don't know if my mom found him hot again, or I don't know what. Now they might be watching this because this is like the first show I made that my parents like, and so I don't.
So they really, like, got back together. Like, are they still together right now?
They definitely got back together. They're like retired and like.
Oh, that's
like,
dope.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it came back around.
But it was
Yeah.
because of sexual desire.
No, I don't know that. I don't know that at all. I think it might have been the inverse, where it's like it was they played the field for a year and a half and found out how lonely it was out there, you know, and kind of just recongealed into codependence.
It's interesting.
It's not my place to say. I got my own problems. I don't want to diagnose my parents. They did good enough to raise me.
It's interesting that you went there, Dan, because that was one of the questions I really wanted to ask you, because I watch your work. You know, I love Community. I watch Rick and Morty, and I noticed with you, there's this theme of like broken families and disjointed families that somehow still figure out how to make it work and how to be a family within the chaos. And I was wondering how much of that is really rooted in your life.
Yeah, I think it's just rooted in all that. I mean, I think that I feel like I grew up. You know, you go to public school and you the desks are shaped in a certain way, and the pencils you're sharpening everything's like federalized and clean, and the things you're learning about are all like, we live in this regular world, and it corresponds to the world on television, and then you go home to this crazy mess, no matter what. It's kind of, I mean, I truly equate it, I hope this isn't an uncomfortable allegory for anybody, but like in sex ed books, like there's a controversy about like they draw a vagina like a line. It's just like, whomp, and then they go like, this is, and then like guys' penises just dangle there, but like
I'm uncomfortable.
Like there's this thing where it's like the world of media, like it tends to tell you like, oh, here's what humanity looks like, and then like, you know, the lines that we use to represent that, like when you go home to a mess, which is not necessarily a bad or a good mess, you just feel like it's wrong. And I also just, so it's like, so like Norman Lear and the Cheers, he doesn't know the names of the guys that created Cheers.
Right.
My heroes, like that made TV that I liked, like they were always like saying, yeah, but also it's sloppy.
Yeah, like it's messy.
Yeah, and then those shows age and become classics, and you're like, no, that show's like things.
Right.
So I like to think Rick and Morty is just recalibrating and going, no, life is sloppy. Like people have a lot of shit.
Yeah, it has a lot of heart, and I think that's why people are attracted to it. Because at the end of the day, with all the silliness, there's so much real heart and character development and depth in the show, and that's always gonna draw people. You know? So I guess what I'm saying is, good fucking job. But you know that
thank
already.
you. Very funny. Thank you.
Jane, you wrote the episode.
Yes.
It's called Rick Mancing the Stone.
Correct.
But it is very Mad Max themed. So
Right.
that kind of threw me a little bit. Can you
Well,
kinda...
it's really about the love between Rick and The Rock. I don't know if you guys understood.
Smart. Very smart.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't even think that's dope. And it's a green rock. Makes sense.
That's it.
That's the whole. I wanted
it.
more. You're done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Can I head out? Is that okay?
Nah. I got more questions.
Oh, okay.
All right, because Summer, in the episode, Summer kind of uses this guy to like basically get over her daddy issues. You know what I mean? It's like he's kind of a crutch. Have you ever been in that situation with a guy?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think that it would absolutely, everyone would know that I was lying if I said no.
So you've used dudes
I mean, like we have them whether we admit it or not.
Women, I think, do that.
Everybody does. We have
Yeah,
mommy
I've sucked
and daddy
a few
issues.
dicks. They were all because of daddy issues. Because
Right.
I'm gay as fuck right now.
Of course.
Every dick I sucked was purely a daddy issue dick.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't date a man unless I want to fuck him because he looks like my dad, you know?
That's totally fair. That was
you.
funny. Scott, I got to get you your questions. All right, here we go.
You don't have to ask me questions.
I
have
want to,
nothing
though.
to do with the show.
I want to, though.
Why not 29 Rock?
I think it was zoning.
Oh.
Do you know what a Mr. Meeseeks is?
Again?
Do you know what a Mr. Meeseeks is? Do you watch?
Yes, I do, absolutely,
Okay, so
yeah.
if you had one, what would you ask it and why?
What do you ask him, Mr. Meese? Anything you want? Any
Of
answers?
course, you can ask it anything. I want to know what's going on in your
I remember
head.
the character. It's one of my favorite characters. I just don't remember what he did.
Jerry asked for like a better golf game.
Oh, okay. I would say something to talk about it on this show.
Okay,
That's
fair. And that's mostly my job, so thanks for shitting on me. Good job.
No, you're doing a great job.
Way to call that in.
You're talking to an empty vessel.
So when you were writing this episode, like, how did you approach it?
I did not write this.
I wasn't talking to you. How did you approach it? Like, did you approach it like, let's do a Mad Max episode, and then you jumped into
No,
that, or what was the
100%.
angle?
No, well, I mean, yeah, this is a good story. This episode started as a completely different premise. It was about Rick and Morty and Summer going into books.
This is your pitch?
No, we basically all pitched for like, it felt like 6 weeks we blue skied. I think we just like threw every idea against the wall, and then we sort of figured out like what the stories would be, and everybody sort of just got assigned a script. Some people pitched their own. This was not my pitch, is basically what I'm saying. The Bookalizer was not my. I think it was Justin's. Yeah.
okay.
The Bookalizer.
Bookalizer was the device that they were using to go into books.
That is how this episode started.
That's how it started.
An episode about a device that lets you go into books.
And they went into
shit.
Unused premise, writers.
Yeah. Yeah, try to crack it, motherfuckers. We tried so hard.
Oh my God, we wrote about 90 versions of the Bookalizer.
It was like 10 solid different scripts.
Incredible. Like, yeah, I don't
was a
know.
great time.
That's part of a larger theme of like we lost our goddamn minds this season.
Really?
Yes.
Can you get more into that? Why?
I don't know. I mean, I've been looking at it like it's just we just hit a critical mass of like there's a point where a vortex starts and there's a point before a vortex starts and like this was the vortex of like we got through second season knowing that we were making what people liked and but we were still largely like able to I don't know then the third it was just this critical mass of like I think we just got enough scared of making the show bad that we couldn't stop worrying about that enough to it just made making the same decisions we would have made anyway 3 times longer.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. It's like how I feel with comedy. Like, oh, I do an open mic, and then someone's like, come do a real show, and then I think about my jokes way more. I'm like, it's a real show, rather than just saying the shit I would say any fucking way.
Yeah.
But you get way more money, and you get, I get it. Mm-hmm.
And you know what doesn't what doesn't help you out of those situations is you realizing that.
Yeah.
Like you know that when you're doing it,
Yeah,
right?
you're like, I got here being like, it's like being the cool kid in high school. It's like, I'm the cool kid because I don't give a fuck. But then once everyone's like, you're the cool kid, you're like, nah, I give a fuck. And then you're like in this weird pressure situation.
And knowing that you can have a 200 IQ and go, oh, this is happening. I need to not give a fuck. And that does not make you not give a fuck.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. 100%. So is anyone up here married?
Married?
Yeah.
Nah, dog.
I gave it a shot.
Did you? I'm getting a divorce.
Oh, me
right now.
You're gonna love it.
I think. So this is so crazy. I am.
That's not.
I am right in the middle of the shit, you know, and people are like, "You're glowing." Fair.
I want to interject and say because that got the response it did. Like, people need to not mistake that for being a character judgment on my marriage or the partner.
No.
But I genuinely do mean you're gonna love divorce.
Yeah. Like I'm in the middle of it, and it's not. My wife is really great. Like she did everything the right way. Like there was always sandwiches. There was always. I never ran out of soap.
What if I had said that?
I had soap.
Privilege.
I had soap. Oh, I use it. I take full advantage of it. All the time. I'm racist as shit. It's great. It was always everything was great. Like, she really made a good home, like, for real. And work, she's fucking amazing. I'm just not a person that can be in unions, and I figured that out through this marriage. And,
I mean, I'm not your therapist, but don't go that far right away.
I agree.
It's just, like, stick to the one thing that you know, which is that that union did not work out.
Thank you, Dan.
Like,
that was real good. I needed that for my spirit.
I'm in a relationship right now. So, like, I feel like I've never, like, now I'm 44, and I was like, it's like it's weird. It's like you just you think that relationships are one thing and then you find out they're another.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I don't think the divorce was a necessary component of that. I just think that it was like
part of the process.
That happened because I spent 40 years thinking of myself as a person that was gonna get married or not gonna get married, gonna have kids or not gonna have kids. And then I woke up the day after the divorce was agreed upon and was like, shit. There's nothing I'm gonna do or supposed to do or anything like that. And then I asked myself, what do I want for breakfast? And then within a month, I was in the craziest like relationship.
That's crazy.
Like that was like, God, I love.
That's crazy. So they're paying me scale here, and I can't afford a therapist, but I got weed. If you want to come over and just hang out. And then you just talk to me and you coach me through it.
If you like hearing more about your therapist than yourself, then I'm a great therapist. But
Scott, you've never been married?
I have not.
You have the hair of a man that's been through marriage.
Really, that's a great observation.
and it's in his trunk.
Yeah. I was engaged once. I was engaged when I started writing at Rick and Morty.
You were engaged?
Yeah.
What happened?
Found out it wasn't gonna work.
Wow, how though?
I mean, like, I think it was that what you were saying, Harmon, of like, I'm supposed to do this, and we were living together and with each other for,
So like an alarm went off and it's like time to get married.
Exactly. And it was like, when it happened, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I don't want this. When I was proposed to, I was like, sure, yeah, this is what we do. And then it was just like, it devolved from there of like, but I did the same thing of like, monogamy is bullshit, like read Sex at Dawn, and you're like, we're not
You go like
supposed to be
the
with
very
one.
next extreme.
Yeah, but yeah, you find a
So when
person for you.
the day you got engaged, was it a different definition and therefore not romantic anymore, something like that?
It didn't feel as romantic as I thought it was gonna be. Like
you have to be together.
Yeah, it was sort of just like this is inevitable. So, yeah.
And you've never even gotten close, Scott? You just chilling?
I went ring
She's
shopping
really
once.
on this.
I went ring shopping
I'm so
once,
curious.
but I didn't buy anything.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna leave it alone. Let's talk about it later. I wanna know what drove you to go ring shopping, but then what made you go like, nah, fuck that.
Are you asking?
Yeah, I am.
Pressure, love for the woman I was in love with, and her, trying to feed into her desires and her needs. And then I went shopping with a friend of mine, and as we discussed why we were there, she kind of like helped me realize that I was there for the wrong reason, which was just for someone else.
And now you're engaged to that friend, right? And that's great.
Cool.
I know that's a joke I made, but that's not.
Did you fuck that
Oh
friend?
God, it's true. I
So Jay, you've worked on a lot. Like you've worked on The Simpsons. You worked on other animations. I'm assuming that this is your favorite. I want to know why. Dan is sitting right here. Think about that while you talk.
I mean, it's a good show. The episodes are good.
Were you afraid of
how do you-
ruining it?
I was 100% afraid of ruining it, and I
Right.
remember, I don't know if you remember this, Dan, but when you sent me off on script, you were like, good luck, don't be nervous about being the first woman to ever write a script for Rick and Morty.
It's true. First woman to ever write a Rick and Morty.
Really? Holy shit! I didn't know that.
And it was the best
so
episode
cool.
yet so far, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
I think
really
it's a
dope.
little critical of male society. But then again, it started as a Bookalizer episode,
That's
so
true.
I don't blame you.
That is true. I miss you.
Dan, I'm wondering because you do a lot of weird voices on the show. Not really weird, but just you bounce around with the voice work. What's your favorite?
I'm
Or
not
do
in
you have
there that
one?
much. I do a bird person who it was more in second season than this one, and like Ryan Ridley, you can hear in there a couple times. He's the intern that comes in. Coffee run? Oh, never mind. Ryan's more of a kind of like Carson art player. I don't know, what do you call it? Like that's a good reference and made no sense. I don't know, utility player. Like I'm not in there as much. I'm trying to think. Like I'll be like a very random like guy in the background going, look out. In the pilot, I'm like one of the insects. Glenn's bleeding to death. Someone call his wife and family.
You're also that DJ at the party.
The flu rap.
Yes.
The flu
That
rap
is
and
my
rapper.
favorite character.
I can't remember the flu rap. I'm a flu rapping rapper here to say you shouldn't have.
I heard
flu
you like
any day.
freestyling.
I do.
You're a freak. Bust one.
Give me a beat.
I'll beatbox for you. I will. All right, let me.
Yo. 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 It's after Rick and Morty. You just watched the show. Gonna fuck your mama from head to toe. Gonna put my dick on her knee and her elbow. Gonna fuck her after the show. Rhyme show, cause I'm the master of the show. So I get to use the word show more times than you'll know.
Ooh. That's pretty hard. I didn't expect it to go that flowy. That was flowy.
I like seeing your insecurity while you rap.
The insecure rapper.
You don't get to see that a lot. It's
He's like the internal voice of Drake. Just.
for every drink you see, there's there's like a core inside that's like, maybe if that's okay.
So, I mean, I'm sure you asked this a lot then, and you're probably tired of answering it, but really, like, how did you get involved in this project? Because, you know, we all know, like, Justin and I wrote some things. Like, how did this all come together?
Me?
How did you get in, and how did this happen?
My relationship with NBC/Sony on Community was, it was tumultuous, and at that time, because of the cult popularity of Community, Adult Swim, in the form of both Mike Lazo and Nick Weidenfeld, who was currently like his number 2 guy, kept saying to me like, you should do an Adult Swim show. And I kept saying, it's cool that I could get in that door because of this, but it would be wasted because my writing sensibilities are very verbal, very sterile, like very story structured, and kind of like I feel like I just didn't feel like that was gonna be a venue that I used right. And so I always thought of Justin Roiland because Justin I knew back from Channel 101. Like he was this kid from somewhere on an almond farm in California that was way overindulged as a child, and as a result had this amazing sensibility, probably also because of various biochemical stuff, but whatever, like everything that he made at Channel 101 was just like so magnetic and so effective, and had no regard for all of the things that I valued. Like he would purposely anticipate where you were going as a viewer, and then he'd purposely use that to whiplash you. He would undercut all of your values and your morals and your expectations as a viewer, and to get this like huge shock laugh. And it was also just like it was beyond that. It wasn't just gross out. It was like weird manipulation. And then he would do stuff. And then he did this thing called House of Cosby's for Channel 101, which was like that sensibility. Plus, he added a protagonist voiced by Jeff Davis, who's over there. Like that. I was in the audience at Channel 101 when House of Cosby's went up on the screen, and it was like that horrible moment in Planet of the Apes where one of them learns to pull a trigger because it was Justin using an identifiable protagonist to create a narrative you could track, and it was like, fuck, like this is dangerous, and it made me all the more want to always work with him in animation, and so when Adult Swim came calling me, only because I was getting in trouble and. With NBC, I was like, yeah, but this is the guy that deserves an Adult Swim show. And so I said to Justin, what would you do if you could do anything? Because let's use my equity to get that done. And he said, I just love doing these 2 voices. And he didn't even refer to them as Doc and Marty, and it certainly wasn't Rick and Morty. That it was like he had come to just call them those 2 voices at that point. That he was like constantly doing. Like, there's one guy that goes like this, and then the other guy that goes like that. And I was like, yeah, that's great. Let's build a show around that. And then we developed it. So
that's It's cool because it's very close to, like, when you hear the voice, you automatically know the story, especially, like, Morty. It's so Marty McFly. It's, like, always, like, high and always,
not legally,
like...
but...
Yeah. But you know what I mean. You can immediately identify it, and then be taking on all these weird adventures is so fucking awesome. And then when I watch it, like I said, the heart in it, you see so much of you in it, and just to find that balance, especially with like when networks are kind of kicking you in the nuts, to have an outlet had to be great. Mm-hmm. To have a place to go to just live.
It still feels like that, except now it's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I think the Justin Roiland flavor is. It makes you feel free. It like addresses. It's like acupuncture that puts pins where you're the most afraid to have pins put. And then like it's all right. There's just a pin wagging around on the spot that you always thought would be really sensitive, but then it's just going like that, and you're like, that's hilarious. And it just like it's a punk rock kind of like free, very freeing like energy, and it's not intentional on his part. It's just like
who he is.
He's incapable of functioning if he's bored or like it's like he can't force himself to do stuff. So if you just follow Justin, you will always be somewhere funny and interesting. And it's really is hard for the rational adult mind to do that. Like
Yeah.
you are constantly challenged to mistrust that instinct.
Like that's such an important point because it like when you're saying like he's kind of like privileged, like I wish my mind was that free, but like I have the burden of poverty, so there's a part that's like blocked. No bullshit. It's like there's a blocker that you have to like overcome to then push back to that place where you can just be and be innocent and run and go. You have to like jump a hurdle, but when you can just kind of live in that space, always you can like keep creating and keep pushing, and that's really fucking awesome. I'm also a little high, so that got deep, but it's fine. It's cool. Just that's a cool ass thing. Scott, you worked on you worked on more oral, so you've worked on other like Adult Swim shows, and like what was your experience with that? And you know, just give me some shit.
It was great. Dino was
Dino's
creator
awesome.
of Dino Stamatopoulos.
Yeah,
created,
he's the shit.
Moral Oral and Frankenhole, and that came about because of Mr. Show, and I'd worked with Dino since college.
Really?
On Mr. Show as well, and so when he was invited to create a show, he invited me to help him create it. So I was there. Designing characters and
One of my favorite
like that.
shows ever on Adult Swim is more. It's so smart. It's so fucking smart.
Tell your
And
friends.
I do. I'm a big moral oral champion. It's a super smart show, and I always loved how innocent he was. Honestly innocent. My favorite is the junkie episode when he finds the junkie in the alley.
Yeah.
And then he's trying to help him
out.
like through life, and he doesn't realize it's just like a junkie. It was all very smart shit. I just wonder, like, what was your college experience like with Dino that like kind of brought you guys there? Because I feel like there's always like these connectors, and then you kind of land on a thing, and then you're like, holy shit, this is the thing. So kind of what was that journey?
Dino and I were kind of like guys who had plenty to do, but were lonely, and we'd hang out together and kind of avoid other parts of our life, which were boring to us. So we would kind of wander around Chicago on the north side, and on a nice night just go wandering with his guitar, and we'd stop and like at an al fresco restaurant, pretend we worked there, and say, "Do you have a request?" And then we'd sing a song that we had written. Even if they would request something, you know, Lady of Spain or something, and we would sing the song we wrote. And then we'd go to another table and do the same song again. And so we just kind of found that kind of bond of I don't think we had anybody else in our life like each other. So we fell in love, and then Dino kind of like became a producer and a writer before I did, and he was always kind of loyal to me and always would hire me, which was great. And so we just found ourselves working for Adult Swim, and it all came about very naturally.
Really? But it's such a unique, I had to push you on it, but it's such a unique idea that like, I feel like it had to be rooted in something genuine.
Moral oral?
Yeah, like, cause it's such a unique like perspective.
It's just kind of like Dino's insecurities divvied up among a bunch of characters.
Okay.
And I think, I mean, this is not a moral oral show. I'll tell you essentially where it came about. Dino had written a pilot for Iggy Pop, where Iggy plays a 12-year-old boy in a family, in a nuclear family. But it's never called out that he's Iggy Pop or anything. He just has the lines of a 12-year-old boy. And that, he was pitched to Iggy. Dino went to lunch with him. And Iggy was too distracted by all the the women in the room. He used a different word and didn't hear anything Dino said. So,
did he say bitches?
Nope.
Butterflies?
What did he say? I want to know what
He said
Iggy
the C
Pop
word.
calls women.
No, he said the president's word.
Pussy?
Yeah, pussy.
I like that though.
Oh.
I like to know that Iggy Pop gets down like that.
Well, that's great for
'Cause
you,
I like-
and I would certainly say pussy if we were alone.
Fair.
So Dino took that script, and because he had a script lying around and had a meeting, like, you know, on Monday, he brought that script to Adult Swim and said it'll be like a puppet show, and it was going to be marionettes. And then right when he kind of had that conception, they announced Team America, which is a marionette movie. So
Goddamn Hollywood.
We switched it to claymation, which I think was a much better idea.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Dope. Jane.
Yeah, what's up?
I don't want to ask you this question, but I feel like I have to ask you this question because it's like
I
the
have
question.
a feeling I know what it is.
Lady, it's a lady. You're a lady and you
Yeah.
write, and then there's dudes and they have
Okay.
dicks. And how do you feel about all
I
that?
love having tits. It's fucking best.
That question, like being a woman in a field that's mostly male dominated, especially comedy, of course, and comedy writing, of course, you get all that. Just like for you, how is it? Where do you find your collaborations? Where do you find your inspiration? And where do you find like you work the best in all of that?
I mean, it's hard to be a woman in comedy, and it's hard to write for TV as a woman, like when you're the only woman. What was great about Rick and Morty is I was not the only woman. I was one of 4, and it was amazing. And they're all great, and it was like the most balanced room I've ever been in, and I think it was just good for that reason. Like I thought it's like when you're in the world and you talk to other people, sometimes they're like you and sometimes they're different than you, and you learn things from them. Like that's what it is to have men and women in a room.
Right.
Yeah, if you have half men and half women, then that means that all of the writers can pitch whatever they want, and none of them are like, well, as a blank.
Right.
Yeah.
And is that kind of the makeup of the room?
It was this season.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'll
Yeah.
be the first person
Never
to say.
again.
Yeah, I mean,
You guys
That's
learned your
really
lesson.
that's really
whatever,
amazing.
because we didn't arrive at that by forcing it so much. Like I do want to say, yeah, maybe again, maybe not. Like it won't be a thing that we forced to happen ever.
It has to be
It was a
organic.
thing that happened, and it was historically for me as a showrunner. It was my awareness of this.
No clowns, please.
Clarabelle, my awareness of this comes like from being forced.
Right.
Angela Bromstad was running NBC when I first got my show. She at NBC. She said it'd be cool if you had just half women in your writers' room. And when I heard that, I was like, this is the end. I was like, not because I wasn't like at the time, I wasn't like, oh, women aren't funny. I was like, this is going to be so fucking hard to do in a world where it's probably already really hard to find a bunch of good writers. Now I have to make sure 30% of them have this kind of hat on. And on Wednesday, that's the logical side of the pushback that you get about proactivity.
That's the problem with like any oppression period though.
There's always a logic to not being proactive.
It forces everything. It forces the conversation. It forces all things, and then things just aren't organic, and they just don't grow the way they're supposed to.
I've since come around to that, both by that experience because I did bother. I was scared enough of my boss to like find half of the room, make a female, and then it was like, oh, this is working really well because everybody feels a little more open to actually say, because everyone knows if they pitch, well, maybe this 30-year-old married female character, maybe she runs into the room naked and hits herself in the head with a hammer. If there's one woman writer in the room and 9 dudes, 9 dudes are maybe afraid to pitch that.
Right.
And if one of them isn't afraid to pitch that, they all look at the woman.
Yeah.
And then the woman is like, women don't hit themselves in the head with hammers. I don't know.
Right.
I just
It's
want
all
a job.
bad. Like,
whereas if you have balance, then everyone can be psycho.
Right. It's all
Everyone can
bad.
just be like, what if everyone ate shit and puked it up and ate the puke? And then everyone's like, sounds good to me. That's the importance of representation and balance, not that people are bringing in necessarily, like, I'm the ambassador of the Bronx.
Right.
I think a Bronx person would do this.
But that's like the growth of shit too, because you always feel like when you're the first of the thing, you feel like that's what you have to do. Like as a lesbian comic,
What?
What? You didn't know?
Go, stay.
All right.
I feel like I
Only
get to do.
because you agree women should make sandwiches.
I definitely think they should. Bitches need to
Common
make
ground.
sandwiches. But I get to say shit like that. I say bitches need to make sandwiches, but like there was people before me and they had a need to like explain it. And now because they've gone and they've explained it, I get to just be like, I'm me. But that's the shitty part is there always has to be this like wave of explainers that are like, understand me before people could just be who they are.
I do have like
and that's why white guys gotta stop. Dan.
I know, Dan did explain what it's
Cut
like
it
to be
out.
a woman in a writer's room. Quite
Because I'm good at explaining stuff. But no, I just was gonna say, can you talk about that, because it's hard to remember, when we're none of the women were necessarily pitching. What if so and so had a tampon, right?
No.
It was but also at the same time, wasn't there more conversation? Well, you can't compare it to previous seasons, but
right. Well, I would say it wasn't like we came in I've got so many ideas for Summer and so many ideas for Beth. It was we live our lives with women and men, and we have ideas for relationships and dialogue and situations and storylines. It wasn't four women who were okay, get ready for the Beth stories. It's we have just stories about people being together. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it was. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what previous seasons are like, but I think if you have any I was in an all-girl sketch group, and yeah, our portrayal of men was ridiculous. We don't know what men are like. It would have been nice. We had a male director, and he was
Right.
that's something we can't do. He would stop us, but
You were probably right about all of it, though.
I know we were. We 100% were.
Yeah. Most of your negative opinions about men are right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
it's
Man,
weird to
please.
me.
Yes.
In comedy, there's this very, very right now. It couldn't be a hotter button, and it's weird to me. It's so ironic how much in agreement the enemy sides are, because both sides are in total agreement that a writer in a writer's room shouldn't have to be anything but funny.
Yes.
And it's just that people are seeing different realities and how to get into a situation where you can do that. And there's people who are all of this entire conversation, the minute we started talking about it, they did whatever the new equivalent of flipping the channel is, and they got right onto their fucking thing, and they started making memes about how we're pieces of shit and stuff, whatever. There's a certain mentality that's this conversation is killing comedy. This is garbage. Stop talking about it.
Right.
Start being funny. This show was going to be hilarious if we didn't have shit to talk about the construction of how comedy is made. We were going to talk about behind the scenes shit anyway. But it's everyone wants the end result, which is the funniest show possible.
Right.
And it's weird to me that we think that each side thinks that the other side wants the content to be worse.
Yeah.
And it's
where everybody has the same end goal.
that's the first thing we should establish is nobody wants bad content.
Right.
It's just everyone's suspicious that they think I'm virtue signaling when I say, oh, we should do the thing, and therefore I'm in favor of making the wine taste worse because I want to I want to sleep better tonight. That's crazy that I would want wine to taste worse when I have a vineyard.
100%. So with this season being different, with the writers' room being different, this season kind of being different, when you talked about certain breakthroughs that are happening this season, finally we're just going to push them to a divorce. The season as a whole, how do you feel about it compared to the seasons before, or just where the show's going? For you, where are you at with that, and how do you feel
Well,
about
I haven't seen anything but this episode.
Okay.
So
I think
don't-
we should move on now because he's answered. So let's go on.
All right, yeah.
I
we're
can't.
done.
I
Scott,
can't
thank you
tell.
for that.
I'm too close to it. I watched that episode just now through eyes that weren't we watched it at Comic-Con, 4,000 people in a football field or something, and I was right. And I've watched it 1,000 times, obviously, while making it. But right now, I was just watching it. My feeling just right now was, "Fuck, this is good. This is really good." Mm-hmm. That sounds really embarrassing to say.
No,
about a
man.
show.
You feel good about
But
the
I
shit. You
was
feel good about the shit.
I was yeah, we did it.
That's dope.
It was worth the 1,000 Bookalizer drafts because we somehow in there we were coming around to
Can I ask, Jane, I know that your name is on this. You get solo credit for the writing, but I know the room wrote it.
Yeah, it's
So how
all
does your name
collaborative.
end up the lead?
I mean, that's sort of how it goes. The writer goes off and writes the draft, and then you bring it back to but we break it together. We break the outline together. We do everything together.
Is anything from your first draft still in it?
No, because it was about going into books. Okay. So it's a totally different.
So is
story.
anything you wrote in this episode?
No, it was not.
serious?
Oh, damn.
No, we together. I mean, we.
Is there
spent
a
hours
line
and
you wrote that's in there?
Yes.
What is it? What is that one line?
It's so aggressive. When Beth says, "Want to go run in a stream?"
Oh,
That was a joke I pitched.
that's a great line.
Great line.
Solid ass fucking line. Laugh out loud line.
And Dan, is there a line you remember writing?
I don't know, which is why her answer shouldn't be like I'm like, oh, for all I know, Jane wrote half of it.
Dan,
I don't know.
My favorite line that you wrote in that was when Rick says, like, you're just an aimless, driftless 500 billion molecules, whatever, and then he sees Jerry in his windbreaker, and he's like, oh, hey, Jerry. And it's
I don't
Did
know.
your dad have a lot of windbreakers, Dan?
I feel like my dad's outfit changed during the separation.
Yeah, you
I
did?
feel like I would see my dad and be like, oh, windbreaker, dad's here. But I don't know. But I look at scenes like the scene where Summer and Buckethead hemorrhage, where he takes his bucket off. Like, there's a person who maybe came up with the idea for that scene. There's someone who did a first draft of it. There's 8 people who did passes on it. There's people who pitched jokes or something. Like, I don't know where that hockey puck goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just ends up in a net. So I definitely want to mitigate because This is very Barbara Walters. Like, you got to the bottom of that.
No,
shit.
he like.
But if you said the same thing to me, I would have the same answer as Jane did. I don't know a single line that I have in that.
Scott is killing this shit.
I didn't expect you to have a concrete answer, actually. Because I
think
do
I'm
know
dumb?
what a writer's room is like, and it's not.
Yeah, no, we all write the scripts
everybody
together,
has-
and the truth is that the person whose name goes on the script, at least in all the things that I run, it's that a writer's name goes on the script because they have extra duties as a producer on that episode. They have to do all this heavy lifting. They have to write the fucking outline that sucks to write, that gets changed a million times. But more than anything, it's more the idea that everybody gets a name on a cover sheet, because that's what they deserve, because they bled and sweat and wept for a show. And so if you tried to divvy up who wrote what, it would, I guess every episode would just have 8 names on it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I would be fine with that, but then you get into union shit, I guess. I don't know.
Dan, you're not meant for this world.
It just seems like the tradition is you cycle through the writers and everybody gets an episode. They get paid more for one. And they get
Dan's like that dude at your job who just sleeps at his desk every day and somehow keeps getting promotions. You're like, what the fuck? Why does this dude keep getting more money?
All right, also I wrote everything. Don't challenge me. All right.
There you go. You got a delayed clap.
So one of my favorite episodes is, of course, season 1 was addictive. You know, you're first getting introduced to this world, so you just jump into it. One of my favorite episodes is a sex bot episode when he gets the sex bot pregnant. But it always makes me think of Weird Science and building a girl. And I guess if you don't like girls, build a guy. But
Yeah, I would build. Sure.
did you? Everyone here seen Weird Science, correct? Yes. We've all seen it. That chick was really fucking hot. I don't remember her name, but she was hot as shit. It was Lisa. No, but what was her real name? Yes, she was bad as fuck. That was one of those first gay moments for me, but I didn't understand it. But I was. We'll get it, whatever. Sex robot, all of you guys, if you're building one in your own image, or what you would want, whether it's a celebrity image or just what you would want, what does that look like for each of you guys?
The smallest, tightest pussy in the whole fucking world, and the biggest, most enormous boobs.
Well, that's how I know you're not really into girls.
I thought you
You're
meant in
like-
my likeness.
No, I mean in your likeness, oh, you got a small. Thank you.
I thought you meant
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what I thought you were saying. You're yeah.
We all heard in your
Rushmore
likeness.
Yeah.
I meant what you want to fuck, but I didn't want to just say what you want to fuck.
Right,
Oh,
because
that I have no idea. My dad. No, I'm joking.
and my daughter with a bruise on her eye.
Yes, there we go.
I don't have a
you gotta
kid, so
grow.
I can make that joke. What we've learned tonight is about relative privilege.
Oh, yeah.
I am a bachelor. Wait, are you a bachelor if you have a girlfriend and you're deeply in love with her
No.
for the rest of your life? Okay. What do you call that? A cuck?
Corny.
Okay. Horny.
I'm serious about this question.
My sex doll would look identical to my girlfriend Cody Heller.
Oh, come on, bro. I'm so happy for you, but also so angry that you're that happy. I'm like
Mine would look
Halle
exactly
Berry's
like Cody
head.
as well.
Yes.
Mine too. She's hot. She's very hot.
Is Cody hot?
She's very hot.
All right, I'm going Cody, and I haven't even seen her. Fuck it.
And she's got one of her legs is a mannequin leg.
So for you, it's silly, guys. So for you, Dan, what was your favorite part of this episode that we watched today? If you have a favorite part, if you don't.
I like the bucket scene because I like that it's Joel McHale playing this guy. I like that he lifts the bucket off and there's just this sort of I don't know if we nailed the mustache thing. I felt that I say that because I feel like I maybe over finessed that. I don't know who did the first
Oh yeah, you fucked it up.
The hat on a hat is a great.
No, it was great.
Well, I feel like that's what I was like. Do you have the expression "a hat on a hat"? But I just thought it was so But what I really think is interesting is maybe not the most. It's that comment on how I like that guy. That bucket guy has a boss who Summer killed. Who that's why he likes Summer. He has a relationship with her. They're both have this nihilistic thing going where their relationship was built on not giving a fuck about childhood and innocence and all this stuff. And then here's this love scene, and that love is identical no matter what generation you're in, no matter what your circumstance is. There's always just two people becoming vulnerable, and that additional undercutty thing of and men, no matter how masculine they are, when they fall in love, they reward the woman by dumping all their shit. And the woman goes,
It's so true.
It's that thing because it's like a meet cute, but it's also it's mainly inspired by that scene in Pollock, the biopic about Pollock, where his wife is like, you need. She has that great monologue. It's like these men geniuses, men that struggle with other men, and then these women that just put a cork in their mouth and relax them.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants. It's like a baby crying out for his bottle. I'm not winning any fans with this monologue.
I'm with you.
But that's why I love it. Because I fantasize about being that ripped and having a bucket on my head that I only show my face to people I kill. But I also
fantasize about you being
the
that
woman
ripped.
that will forgive me for everything underneath the bucket, and I know how much she'll suffer. and then I know it had to be Ridley, just the thing of they're more like interns.
You're just
I don't know if that's Guterman.
cuddly,
Ridley.
broken man, Dan. This is great.
But I love that scene. If you told me Rick and Morty was doing a Mad Max backdrop thing, I'd be the most proud of that scene. But just I love all of it. I love all of my own show.
Great.
How many creators can say that?
Well, they're all hacks. Yeah, that's what scares me. Like 5, and they all make probably awful TV shows. Why do you ask these questions? They're just
he gets in. He gets to
It's
the
like a
core.
second interviewer.
I'm interested in you.
Oh, kiss.
Yeah. Break the.
Kiss.
And yet I can't get on the show.
Do you rub sandalwood in your beard?
Oh, you put sandalwood in your beard?
It's a
You can
wonder
smell
system.
it?
It's a whole
I know now
system.
why
It's
you
like
not
making
trying to
out-
get married. You out here finessing these hoes. You got the
This
sandal.
hoe.
You got the sandalwood.
I feel like I kissed
Whoa.
Venice Beach.
That's cute.
I want to give $1 to a robot man.
For you as the writer, what stood out for you, Jane?
My favorite scene is when Morty says goodbye to the arm. I don't know why, but like I actually cry when I see it. And
You said what?
when he says goodbye to the arms,
Oh,
he
yeah.
says he doesn't want to go. When Justin, I was there for the record when Justin did it. I cried at the record. Like he did multiple takes.
Whoa.
It just fucking gets me, and I think it's great.
Well, saying goodbye to a thing, like him saying, so justice will now be served to the point where, like in all romantic stories, now the reward is that you Patrick Swayze away.
Yeah.
Can we let's just do everything but the ending so that we can be happy forever, which is what a fairy tale is supposed to be?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that makes me cry too. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Scott, as someone who has nothing to do with this, what was your favorite scene?
I really didn't pay attention to it.
Okay, all right.
No, I liked that in that same scene. I like when Rick makes Morty finish the kill
Yeah.
Do it together.
because that's his version of fathering.
Right. Yeah. Yes. That was exactly what it was. It was like, that was dope. I love how good of a father that guy is. Like, I love how bad but good Rick is as a
Do you think
person.
Morty would eventually become like Rick?
Well,
Thanks, crowd.
There's some fan theories that Morty eventually becomes Rick and that they
it's a
exist as
cycle?
some kind
Okay.
of weird. No, I mean, well, that's why I shouldn't be on this show because it gets into canon and fan theories. But you're saying as a character, no,
Yeah,
I don't
mean,
think.
if he lives that lifestyle.
No, because I think that Morty was not born with the gifts that Rick was born with. So this is just observing them as if I didn't have anything to do with making the show. Like I see a guy who wasn't born that bright, Morty, or he has like emotional intelligence or something that doesn't have to do with math. And so Rick's ability to get shit that makes things work, like I think led him to.
But also detachment, though, because when you think like that, you're more detached from things and you move less on heartfelt emotions, and that could allow you to be like less humane.
Yeah.
Because you're basically a genius, so you're kind of like separated. And Morty's like, it's like a Jedi. It's like when they're like, you can't take a Jedi as an adult, or because they need to be a baby because they don't like feel shit yet, and then we just train them to do shit. It's kind of the same concept.
God, I wish the Star Wars universe would get more into, instead of doing the midichlorians thing, that they got more into like the fact that it's like, yeah, the Force is like connecting everything, and so
Yes.
you can be evil about the Force and like understand. Well, I'm connected to that rock, so I'm gonna club you in the head with it.
I want to fuck you now, Dan. 100%. That makes so much sense to me. It's so fucking perfect. All right, this is the last question. This is a silly one, and fuck it, we'll go out on this shit. It's like a post-apocalyptic era, right? Thunderdome style. Who the fuck do you take down and why? We'll start with you,
Me
Jen.
first?
Yep.
Ooh, baby.
It's mano y mano, though. You don't get to add people. You just one person. At least you think you can kick two people's asses.
Oh, wow. Like Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, right?
Oh.
I love them, but like for some reason I just think like twins would be fun to fucking beat the shit.
Fair.
I'll take the Cray brothers.
Why?
They're twins.
All right, you
We're
just
doing a twin thing
fucking
now.
twin. All right, we'll keep this twin theme going.
Well, they're not famous, but I met these twins the other day. I don't know, but what does the question get to the heart of? Who do I want to kill, or who do I want
Like,
to
just who do
see
you
if
want
I
to
can beat
fuck up, but in a dome with everybody cheering? Because it's like beating someone's ass in an alley, and that's one type of beating ass.
Is the
But
assumption that I'm
dome
gonna
ass
win?
beating, huh?
Is the assumption that I'm going to win, or are you saying like?
Work out some shit, maybe win, maybe lose,
Dan, is
maybe
it
it's Fight
yourself?
Club
Who do you
style.
want to lose to?
I want to pick somebody that I think like I want to lose to the person because
All
I
right.
don't want to, because otherwise I'm just like beating. So I want to die fighting. But then I have to. Then so many of the men that I hate, they're pussies, and I'd beat them.
All
Like,
right,
I could beat Donald Trump in a physical fight.
you think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just touch the top of his scalp where his like
He's
surgery is
so much
necrotizing.
mass. He's so much mass, though. If he just toppled, I think that you would be suffocated to death.
I would pick like a 25-year-old, like I'm trying to think of someone that I don't like because they represent brute force being the most important thing.
Pick me.
Then you guys could kiss again.
Afterwards, that's hot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
This
would
guy's
turn
steamy.
into like a love thing.
I think I would just like to go. I would just, if this blood dome got enacted, I would go on Twitter and spend 24 hours, and I would pick somebody with a fucking American flag in their username, and I would be like, "Hey, motherfucker!" And I would just start going for it, and they'd be like, "I'm a fucking Navy SEAL," and I'd go, "Big fucking deal! Come Navy SEAL my ass!" And then I'll meet you in the blood dome, and then I'd be like, and then I'd just say like, "Just tell all these people why you're killing me." Because I said the fucking Wonder Woman was good. No, I'm kidding. I haven't seen Wonder Woman.
Man, I think that is a perfect way to end it. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Get up for Dan Harmon, Scott Adsit. Give it up for Jane. Thank you for watching Rick and Morty. You guys were fucking dope. Bye.
It's a good show.
Was good. No, I'm kidding.